What's going on, guys? Welcome to Exotics Anonymous. Today we're going to be talking about something very near and dear to my heart. The new Lamborghini Temerario is essentially out. They're about to start being delivered in the US at least, and I want to take some time and talk about the Lamborghini Huracan and what I think the best model was in that lineup, and just kind of recap the awesome run that the Huracan has had. So the Huracan launched in 2015, the regular Lamborghini Huracan. There was an all-wheel drive and a rear-wheel drive version. The all-wheel drive was the 610-4. That was the better one to have, if you ask me, because you could do those crazy launch controls that kind of made the car popular when it first came out. The rear-wheel drive one was cool too. That was the LP 580. You know, to me, the whole point of the Huracan was always the all-wheel drive launch controls, because there's faster cars. A McLaren is faster than a Huracan. You know, a McLaren 720S, whatever. The Huracan has that sound, and doing the instant launch controls, just it felt like a great car. And you know, there were the big YouTubers like Vehicle Virgin supercharging his and making it as fast as like a Bugatti Veyron, I think was one of his big videos at the time. So there was cool things like that you could do with the Huracan, and it really just made that car so legendary. I mean, everybody still loves Huracans to this day. So I mean, some people have gotten sick of them because there's so many of them in places like Miami or out in Los Angeles, but nonetheless, that was the first Huracan. And there were some special editions of the regular Huracan, but nothing, you know, bespoke or anything like that, until we got to the Huracan Performante. This was essentially like the, you know, track focused, lightweight, driver focused version of the car. They made the car lighter, gave it a little more power, sounded a little better. The interior had forged carbon, which was one of like the first cars to really start doing that at the time. Whether you like that or not is, you know, personal choice, but it looked nice. It had a little Italian flag on the side of the car, a wing on the back. The arrow in the front was different. It had active arrow, which I think was the first Lamborghini to get their active Lamborghini arrow. So that's a big deal, because that's on pretty much all the cars now. But the Huracan Performante, basically a more fun, driver-focused version of the Huracan. Great car, available in coupe and Spider versions. And that was pretty much the ending of the first, like the first Huracan. They did the facelift next. We get to the Lamborghini Huracan EVO. The EVO, think of like the regular Huracan with some of the learnings from the Performante, but still more of a street-focused car. I think they upped the horsepower. I think the regular Huracan EVO had 630. It's something like that. It had a little more power than the regular Huracans did. And there was EVO and EVO Spider, and then EVO all-wheel drive and EVO rear-wheel drive. It seems like there was a lot more of the rear-wheel drive ones. I don't know if that's because they were just cheaper, so there's more of them around. But again, to me, the all-wheel drive one is the one to have. You got a newer screen in the EVOs. They updated the interior a bit. I don't really think it needed it, to be honest. I thought the Huracan was pretty good. It kind of had like a fighter jet vibe inside the car. Huracan EVO came out, and they updated the car. And great. Now, next up, we got to the Huracan STO. The Huracan STO was basically the Performante of the facelifted version of the Huracan. So the STO is the track-focused, driver-focused version, but it was crazier than the Performante. It's important to note the Performante was all-wheel drive, whereas the STO was rear-wheel drive. The STO was very stiff. Like, if you hit a bump in the STO while you're accelerating, you can feel the car kind of like losing traction. Like, you can hear the tires skipping a little bit. That's how stiff the car is. So it's honestly not a great car on the street, and even on the track it's kind of a little sketchy sometimes, but some people really like it, some people kind of hate it. I'm not a huge fan of it, to be honest with you. I think it looks a little ridiculous. I know they were going for like that Huracan GT3 race car look, but I honestly think the GT3 race car looks better, and they kind of just made it almost like a sad imitation of what the Huracan Super Trofeo cars and everything like that look like. So STO, track focused version of the facelifted Huracan. Love it or hate it. Some people loved it, some people hated it. I didn't hate it, I was just kind of indifferent on it. And the next Huracan we get is the Huracan Sterrato. Now, this was literally an off-road version of the Huracan, which is so great that they even made this car. Porsche made the 911 Dakar right around the same time, so clearly Volkswagen Group was ready to have some fun with off-roading supercars at the time. But the Huracan Sterrato is literally a lifted-up Huracan built to go off-road. Top speed of 160 miles an hour, so it's, you know, 30-40 miles an hour less than a regular Huracan. But that's because it's lifted up slightly. It's not as low. It's got like beefier fenders, and you can put beefy tires on it and everything. And you can actually drive them off-road a little bit. I don't think they're great for rock crawling like anything, because it's still a low car. But you want to go mess around on the sand or something, I'm sure there are plenty of them out in like the Middle East that are being used, you know, Dubai and Abu Dhabi and everything, to go have some fun. So it's a cool car. A lot of people liked it. It seems like one of the more fun ones to drive around, and honestly, being able to drive that around on the roads might be fun too, because you don't have to worry as much about hitting low things or bumping into things as much. It seems like a supercar you can beat on a little bit. And the Huracan was always a supercar you could beat on. They're so reliable compared to other supercars. I mean, people were putting 30, 40, 50,000 miles on them with very little issues, just basic maintenance, compared to something like maybe a Ferrari 48 at the time. A Huracan was, you know, Toyota Corolla levels of reliability. So great car. And so that's up to the Sterrato as far as the Huracans go, and we have one more to talk about. And the final Lamborghini Huracan to come out was the Huracan Tecnica. This was like, they basically a Huracan STO touring. They took a lot of the harsh stuff from the Huracan STO, but put it into like a more usable everyday package. The only problem with this car that I had, everyone says it was so stiff that it almost feels like an STO, and it's rear wheel drive again, so it's like it's not really any more usable than an STO to me. It was another weird one. I didn't hate it as much as some people did. Some people really hated the Tecnica. The front end is a little funny looking, but I think as long as you get the car in like a black or a gray or a dark blue or something, you don't really notice the black plasticky thing at the front. But a lot of them do look a little funny when they're like yellow or orange. So the Tecnica, kind of mixed reviews. Basically a slightly less harsh version of the STO, more harsh than a regular Huracan EVO. Like, this car didn't make a lot of sense to me, to be honest with you. I don't think it was a good send off to the Huracan. That car was, you know, had a legendary 10-year run. They probably should have done something a little more special to finish it off, but they did come out with the Sterrato. That's very unique. So it would have been nice maybe to see the Superleggera name brought back that was so popular on the Gallardo, and given the Huracan something a little more special, maybe like a Huracan Superleggera, that just a better version of a Tecnica, honestly, because the Tecnica was close but not right. So that's the entire history of the Huracan. Now let's talk about which one I think was the best and why I think so. Okay, so my pick for the best Huracan, this is a no-brainer to me. I think it's the Huracan Performante. You still had like that vibe that the original Huracan had, whereas I feel like the Huracan EVO's kind of lost it a little bit. The Performante just looked special. It had that big Italian flag on the side, so you always know what it was when you see one. You get the nice wing on the back, not too over the top of the wing, but just enough to let you know that it's there. The front end looks great, even with all the active aero, you know, worked into the front splitters and everything. The car sounded great still. OPFs weren't a huge issue yet. It looks good in coupe or spider version. And my personal, where I come from with this, it's all-wheel drive. So you still have the cool launch controls that the Huracan had, but with more, you know, emotion and feeling and everything. You can feel things through the steering wheel still, the handling. It just seemed like the perfect, like, peak Huracan to me. I really do wish they took like the Huracan EVO platform and made a Superleggera of that, and maybe just, you know, made essentially a more powerful Performante, instead of going the STO route where they tried to make it like a super trofeo car for the road, where that didn't really work. I mean, they just didn't get it right. Not a lot of people seem to like their STOs very much. There's a reason the values were high in them for a long time, and then just boom, fell off the table. So I think the Performante, they nailed it. If I had to pick a second place one, it's probably a Huracan EVO all-wheel drive, because that's basically some of the, like, the Performante powertrain and everything in a more usable version. That's a great car too. Personally, I'd like the Performante. It's more what I think of when I think Lamborghini and think Lamborghini Huracan. But the EVOs are great. STOs, I'm just not on board. Sterratos are cool if you want something different and you want to have something you can really beat on. I understand why people would buy those. Tecnicas, I don't get it. Not for the money that they're at either. I mean, I think they should be worth less than a Huracan EVO, to be honest with you. Or the original Huracans, I mean, they've held their value so incredibly well. They're still $200 grand for like a nice all-wheel drive Huracan. So they've basically stayed the same price they were 10 years ago. So Huracan, staple of the automotive industry, if you ask me, of the supercar industry at least. I'm glad they've done it. I hope this Temerario can live up to the same level that the Huracan can. I think it's going to be tough without that V10 sound, but the car looks blisteringly fast. It revs really high, this new one. It revs to 10,000 RPM out of a twin turbo V8. That's also basically unheard of. So it's doing cool things. I don't think it has the same looks and presence as a Huracan does. We'll have to see them out and about more. Maybe certain specs will change our minds. I'm sure they'll look good in some colors. But either way, Lamborghini did a great job with the Huracan. One of the best cars ever made, period. And hopefully they can continue doing it. Okay, well, thanks for watching today's video, guys. If you have any other topics you want to see me talk about, let me know in the comments down below. And please subscribe and like the video for me and share with your friends. And I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.